Hey guys, welcome back to the life and suffering of Sir Brante. We are now in our adolescence, 9 years old. We're going to continue with the story of Giggles. Alright, here we go. 10 years old. Finally reached 10! Didn't know that he would reach 10, honestly. Sophia disappeared after the terrible incident with the horses. Her friends gossip that her parents sent her off to serve a rich noble dynasty. You haven't seen each other since that day, but you still remember Sophia's eyes, the sunlight shining in them. But no matter what, life goes on. You are 10 years old now. Your studies continue and you are learning more about the land you live in. Answat is an ancient city in an imperial province by the name of Magra. All soil in Magra was turned to ash eons ago, scorched by magic during the rebellion of Duke Charmelanides. The magical arts are all but gone now, but the scorched earth has remained barren and infertile ever since. Since then, the entire province has lain barren, tormented by cold and scorching winds in equal measure, with few precious plants taking root on their own. All fertile land in Magra is bought elsewhere and brought here by an endless caravan of carts and carriages. To pay for food and soil, the cities of Magra become skilled in many trades, primarily mining and digging for metals and stone. Last fall, there was an explosion just outside the city, followed by clouds of thick smoke. The first such incident frightened the citizens, but then explosions and smoke became an everyday occurrence. Soon, everyone grew used to it. Father explains that the miners are using a new invention called gunpowder. It makes it easier for them to reach the precious stones and metals buried deep within the earth. Gun's gonna be a thing. Then one day, a thunderous explosion rocks the city, and black, billowing smoke covers the houses. People are stuck in their homes, all windows tightly shut. The air is impossible to breathe. Nathan coughs all the time. Gloria and you cough only when nobody's watching. If Mother hears it, she'll make you inhale those hot herbal vapors, just like Nathan. It takes 2 days for the black smoke to disperse. People pour out onto the streets to meet their friends. Thomas is eager to share everything he knows about this incident with you. They took lots of burn up people to the city temple. Mom told me she was helping the healers. There are rumors. Some claim it was the work of a beast stirred from its slumber, while others say it's the surviving witches that continue to threaten the order and the empire with their accursed powers. But as for you, you patiently wait for Father to come back home, and then you'll ask him about it. Father spends day and night working at the prefecture, while Mother spends all her time in prayer. It takes a full week for Father to finally come home, and he's almost completely spent. You muster enough courage during dinner to ask him what happened outside the city. Father raises his head, his face a bleak, weary mask, and starts muttering his proclamation. It's almost as if he doesn't see you.
It's the mine outside the city. They were trying to get to a vein of ore. There was an explosion. The mine caved in, and the black smoke started flowing. Many workers died there. It was all because Count El Vesco, who owns the mines, wanted them to start mining that vein before they were ready. Some of the workers weren't even reborn. Perhaps the twins thought their final time had come. The prefecture has been inundated with complaints from families that have lost their breadwinners, asking the judges for help. Many people also lost their cattle to the black smoke. Count El Velascu blames gunpowder for the disaster. The prefecture and the newspapers just repeat whatever he says, but it's plain old greed and tyranny of noblemen that are to blame. Why is the welfare of our province always paid for with commoner lives?
Then, without warning, he grows silent again. You keep thinking about it for days. Can a human life really end so easily? A single moment of bad luck and you die, only to re-emerge from the temple or the family crypt with a new black mark on your arm. Or worse, you remain where you fell, dead, never to be reborn again. Ever. Ooh. That's rough. Oh, Stefan's coming back. Stefan's arrival. During lunch, Father tells you to stay home in the evening and prepare to meet some important guests. Your elder brother Stefan will return home by dinner tonight. Joining him will be your grandfather, Gregor Brante, as well as a noble family of the friend. as well as a noble friend of the family. You are excited about your brother's return. It has been years since you last saw him. How has he changed during his years away from home? You and Father await the guests anxiously. The doorbell rings. 3 people are standing outside. Grandfather is the first to come in, naturally. He has not changed a bit since his last visit, still eyeing the house with contempt, looking for any reason to demean it. Grandfather is followed by a stately young man dressed in a jacket embroidered in silver, whom you barely recognize as your brother. Stefan casts a glance at your threadbare clothes, your dirty fingernails, and smirks. The last to enter the house is a personable gentleman with a worn-out, wrinkled face. You have heard a lot about this man from Father and Grandfather. He is Baron Augustin Elborn, Stefan's uncle, a family friend and the province prefect, which means that he is the head judge and thus Father's superior. Sir Elborn smiles lightly and offers you his hand. And this must be your younger son, Giggles. Yes, you have your father's eyes, young man. Father bows slightly to Grandfather and Sir Elborn, but there is a moment of quiet when Stefan's turn comes. Father reaches out to him awkwardly, expecting an embrace. There is a question in Stefan's eyes as he looks at Grandfather. The old man shakes his head almost imperceptibly. We noblemen oughtn't put our emotions on public display, Father, not even after a lengthy separation. Ugh, prick. There is no embrace. Instead, Stefan nods to Father curtly. He responds in kind, his face devoid of emotion. After the greeting, you proceed to the sitting room. Elborn is the first to enter. He kisses Mother's hand, and Gloria's too, and tussles Nathan's hair after he sees him hiding by the table. Grandfather acknowledges them with a glum nod. Greetings, Lydia Brante. I remember you were kind to me when I was but a child, and you must be Nathan. You could barely walk when I saw you last. Your elder brother ignores Gloria completely, not even a greeting. You proceed to the dining room in a dignified manner and take your seats. The dishes smell delicious, but they merely punctuate the overwhelming tension at the table. Elborn is the only one with a friendly smile on his face. The dinner is splendid, Lydia. Did you choose the dishes yourself? You have a truly refined palate. It warms my heart to know Stefan spent his early years with you. Womanly care always does a child good, no matter the estate. Your fork freezes in the air halfway to your mouth. You expect many things from a noble of the sword, but words of praise for a low-born woman are not one of them. You cast a glance at Grandfather. He looks like he's about to choke on those words. It would do my grandson more good to stay at boarding school among his equals. Please, Gregor, parenting is no less important. Nothing can replace a mother's love. I cannot deny it. It saddens me greatly that my late sister could not be there to raise Stefan. But there was still a family for him, and he was surrounded by love. How could that be bad? And besides, his father was by his side all the while. A father's example is always the best. After all, Robert earned the judge rank the same way you did. Your grandson will surely follow in your footsteps. And who knows, perhaps even the younger men of the Brante family will contribute to the, "You clumsy, low-born cretin." Everybody is startled by this sudden outburst. Grandfather's face turns red. He is glaring at a young lady servant holding a pitcher over a glass. Stefan is sitting right next to her, dabbing a napkin on a fresh stain on his jacket. Begone this instant! The lady servant runs away, leaving the pitcher on a small table by the door. After a quiet moment, Elborn smiles again. It appears the servants have left us, yet dinner is far from over. Worry not, uncle. There are enough commoners at this table to keep us served with food and drink. Stefan glares at Gloria across the table. She is sitting right next to you. She shrinks down and hunches over under his gaze. Father furrows his brows. Mother covers her mouth with trembling hands. Grandfather sneers. Stefan's gaze does not move. The silence lasts far too long. Then she starts to rise from her chair. If the Brante gentleman so wish it. Your hands clench into fists under the table. How can he bring himself to humiliate his own family, his own mother and sister like this? It is all Grandfather's doing. Stefan could not even bring himself to embrace Father without his permission. And yet, they are noblemen, and they have the right to act this way. If there is any way this dinner can become even more unbearable, you do not want to see it. Join Gloria. Make small talk. Insult your brother. Let's join Gloria. I'm a commoner too. You deliberate for a moment, then take the napkin off your lap and rise to join Gloria. A moment later, you hear the sound of another moving chair. Your mother joins you. The three of you now refill glasses, serve food, and clear away dirty dishes. Sir Elborn tries to make small talk with father, but in vain, so he focuses his attention on grandfather and Stefan. Grandfather is pleased to inform him of Stefan's achievements at the boarding school, especially his exemplary sword fighting skills. He constantly stresses the importance of your elder brother for the future of the family. You listen to him dispassionately as you continue serving new dishes to the table. As you wait at the nobleman's table, you, your sister, and mother never bump into each other. Your labor is impeccable. Grandfather could not have found fault with it even if he tried. Your shoulders and back are aching, but being a manservant inside your own house hurts even more. When the guests finally leave, Mother and Gloria embrace you with relief. You did not neglect your relatives and shared their humiliation, and the composure that you have shown gave them new strength. Aw, so better relationship with Gloria. Hey, that's a lot of willpower. I will never be short on willpower again. All right, 11 years. Hot, dry wind sweeps through the city from the barren lands around it. The noble residents of Answat prefer to remain in their chambers, while the commoners huddle in tents or in the shade of the silver tree. You are on an errand right now. Your father wrote a letter to a noble acquaintance, and you are to deliver it. Thomas, the boy down the street, is tagging along. The two of you are inseparable now. The errand is an easy one, so you decide to take this opportunity to loiter around this part of Answat where the nobles live. So here you are, in the middle of the city square, resting on the ancient brickwork by the old fountain in the merciful shade of the gargantuan silver tree. Thomas is by your side, lazily slouching on the edge of the fountain's base. It's a hard life for commoners like you and me. Either we break your back in workshop day and night, hoping someone will buy you goods someday, or you become a manservant to some noble. You never get a chance to enjoy life. This is your lot, you remind him. We work and endure and suffer. But Thomas waves your words away. Yeah, I know all that already. Mother keeps drilling that stuff into me. We must be humble. Our strength is patience and persistence. So yeah, I say, but I want to make my fortune no matter what. So how ain't that living by my lot, I ask you? But the lots, they ain't easy. Let's take you, for example, Brante. Your father's a nobleman, but even if that didn't make you one, just look at your hands. You never had to work as hard as me, but we have the same lot, so we're supposed to suffer the same. Or look at your father. He's a judge. He toils at the prefecture day and night doing his judging, and he's a noble. I've never seen an Arcanian work as hard as he does. It's got a point. You shrug. The Arcanians are a different race. The books say they were born to rule over humans. They are never commoners, always nobles of the sword by birth. They founded the empire after subduing all the human kingdoms on the continent. Humans will never be their equals. Arcanians are always better, smarter, stronger, and their skin is a noble shade of blue. If the books are to be believed, of course. You've never seen one yourself. Your idle chatter is suddenly interrupted by a rugged-looking guardsman dressed in black and green. He chases you away from the fountain. Common rabble like you have no place here. You hear the clattering of hooves and wheels against the cobblestones and see flags bearing a coat of arms, a sable serpent on a field of vert. It makes you squirm. It is the Archduke's coat of arms, the Milanidis dynasty. The carriage door opens, revealing a young lady in a luxurious dress. You cannot look away from her. Those dainty shoulders suggested but not revealed by the cut of her dress, her black hair cascading over them, her stately, slim silhouette, her pouty lips and prim nose, and those eyes, dark like the night sky. The way she moves, fluidly, gracefully, and most incredibly of all, her skin glows an azure blue. She is a masterpiece given life. She is an Arcanian. Clear the way for me! The Milenatus guardsmen work quickly to clear the way to the fountain for the Arcnean lady. The searing sun dances on her skin in bizarre patterns. With one elegant motion, she reveals a handkerchief, then leans over the basin and wipes her head and neck with its cool water. Well, I'll be. That's Octavia Milenatus, our Archduke's own daughter. The Arcnean turns away and proceeds gracefully back to her carriage. You see something slip out of her hand and fall onto the cobblestones right next to you. Her handkerchief. It is right there by your feet. Intricate craftsman, expensive woven fabric, delicately decorated with emerald filigree. Your heart skips a beat. Will you dare draw the beautiful Arcnean's attention in order to return her lost possession? Or would you rather not attempt to cross the chasm between you and her? So I could give it back to her, stash it, and sell it later. Or keep it. I'll probably get killed again, but let's give it back to her. The worst that can happen is she could say no, right? It takes a moment to overcome your fear. You follow the young lady Milenatus and call out to her in a nervous voice. She turns around, her beautiful face marred by a puzzled expression. You extend the dropped handkerchief towards her. Lady Octavia's face contorts into a sneer. She signs to the guardsmen indifferently. A guardsman gauntlet-clad hand slaps you in the face. It rings your head like a heavy bell. Your nose cracks obediently under the staggering force. The rest of you follow suit, and you fall prone. You can discern the guardsman's voice through the painful din in your ears. Should I take the handkerchief back, lady? After a commoner's hands have befouled it, let him wipe himself with it for all I care. The carriage drives away. Thomas runs up to you and drags you back to the fountain. Your head is still ringing from the blow. The fateful handkerchief is still crumpled in your hand. Ah, well, she remembers me, huh? Well, at least there's that. Maybe that's not good. She remembers me as a commoner. Event has happened. You meet a girl. You experience your first romantic feelings. All right, another year, 12 years old. "12 years old now. You overhear an important conversation. It is a spring night and Mother has just sent everyone to bed. You walk past Father's study and hear voices coming from beyond the door. Grandfather is yelling, and Father is replying quietly. The elder Brante men are fighting, arguing about the place of the commoners in the city. You sneak outside to avoid Mother's attention and hide next to the open window of the study. Perhaps they'll mention you too. That low-life idiot had the gall to pay me a visit and beg me for some service. He had the insolence to ask me outright. He thought I was going to support his claim for the chairman's seat in the lesser quorum. How dare he?"
Father, please listen. Mayor Egmont may be lowborn, but he carries a lot of clout in Magra. He owns 5 iron mines. A friend like him could be quite useful, should he become the chairman of the lesser quorum.
I don't give a damn who this Egmont is, Robert. What he is, however, is lowborn. His lot is humility and obedience. The likes of him can never rule anything. There's nothing but a flock of sheep that need a firm, noble hand to guide them. I wasted so many years trying to quash that quorum decree, but that accursed Cornelius Tempest did everything in his power to make the emperor sign that pathetic screed. And now even lowborns can wield power. True power, Robert!
Just the right to discuss the size of the Archduke's tax, nothing more.
That is only the beginning. What's next? Are you going to arm the lowlifes now? Make them into judges? If the Empire rejects the foundations on the lots, the entire edifice will crumble. Bah! Who am I telling this to? It is already crumbling, and you, my son and heir, are a harbinger of its destruction.
Father, I'm begging you. I do not wish to marry a third time. Lydia is a good wife and a dutiful mother to my children. If you would only allow her to...
I will allow them nothing! Neither Egmont nor that freeloading wench of yours. What will you want me to do next? Live by the laws of the lowborn? I can already see where this is going, and I'd rather run my own sword through my gut than live in a country where nobles and lowlives share the same rights. He's a jerk. My only dream is to see the name of Brante in the Blue Book. But that dream will never come true. They'll never call me Venerable El Brante, and it's all because of this marriage of yours. My only hope now is to hear Stefan addressed in such a manner one day. Thank the twins I didn't let you ruin the boy. He's about to grow up a true noble. His children will bear the name of El Brante.
You have 2 more grandsons.
Those spineless milksops from the common lot? They're incapable of anything. The best your middle son could do is sneak into the Imperial College and get ennobled by the mantle, although I have doubts about that so far. As for the downtrodden Nathan, I hold no hope for him whatsoever. You hear grandfather's heavy footsteps, the thudding of his cane, and the slamming of the door. It's time to sneak back home before you're discovered. Grandfather's a jerk. Ooh, school begins. He started studying at the school of Sir Tibber and began to master the sciences. Finally, the day comes when the teachers stop coming to the house. But before you can breathe a sigh of relief and put away the books, Father asks you to come to his study.
You've grown, my son. It's time for you to continue your education away from home. I've chosen a deserving school for you, Sir Tibber's School for the Children of Noblemen and well-off commoners. Naturally, it is not a boarding school for nobles, so you will study there during the day and come home in the evening.
You share the news with your best friend, Thomas. Sir Tibber's School, eh? Yeah, I gotta ask my parents to send me there too as soon as they get the coin together. Father says his workshop has toiled day and night for years to save up for my education. The school is based in an ancient estate of Archean design. The classrooms are tall and spacious, with massive benches. The sounds of scraping quills and lectures on history and imperial law and theology echo under the vaulted ceilings. The rules are strict, the lessons tiring. Restless Thomas keeps getting distracted, and several times he gets his hand slapped with a stick for it. Every teacher demands flawless mastery of their subject. Every day, Father asks you about your studies. You've already told him twice how Magra joined the Empire, and how the Nobles' Court of Honor is different from the Commoners' Civil Court of the city prefecture. But Father keeps pressing you to work even harder. When it is time to go to bed, Mother will not let you go to sleep until you recite a newly learned prayer for her. And when it is time to go to school, you promise her every day that you'll behave with great humility and steer clear of insolent behavior of any kind, for you still live by the commoner's lot, and that lot is hard work and suffering. Your first month in school draws to a close, and the teachers announce that there will be exams at the end of the month to determine the best and the worst students in each subject. Father insists that you devote all your spare time to studying law and history if you wish to follow in his footsteps. But when you speak to Mother every day, you start considering theology. You still remember the revelations and divine visions that came to you in your earliest years. You've only one more day until the exam. You've locked yourself away in your room. It is already getting late. Your desk is covered with handwritten notes surrounded by leather-bound books. Just looking at them makes you queasy, but you have to read through all of them again, at least for one of your subjects. There is a nagging thought in your mind. Thomas ended up in big trouble the other day. He got in a fight with several boys who lived next street. They heard about your wooden fortress and got in an outrage by the fortification built by commoners. They swore to dismantle it tonight. Thomas swore he would defend the fortress until the end. Perhaps you should abandon the books to rescue the friend in need. But then you hear your little brother Nathan knocking at the door. He stands there shyly, not saying a word. He often does that, standing still and staying speechless until either you speak first or he runs away. But this time, he actually says something. The door is locked. Are you okay, Giggles? Is there anything I can do to help? Your head is spinning. This is the last evening before the school exam. If you fail, your family will be very disappointed. You have to refresh your memory on law or theology, either one or the other. But Thomas and your fort are about to be stormed. Why today of all days? You grind your teeth in rage at the thought. Nathan is by the door, trying not to bother you. He wants to help you the only way he can, for reasons known only to him. Will you accept his help? Focus on law and history. Go help Thomas. Study theology. Spend a moment with Nathan. I feel like this is kind of an important decision. I don't know. Well, between theology and law and history, I would probably go with law and history. I think theology would be more interesting, but sounds like he's been trying to become a soldier this entire time, so that would be more important. Between helping Thomas and spending a moment with Nathan, Thomas is a very important friend, and that is your fort, but we're about ready to, move past childhood stuff, so I don't think I can do that. Spending a moment with Nathan, that would increase, my standing with him. I'm gonna focus on law and history, see where that takes me. You push Nathan out of the room. He cannot possibly help you prepare for the exam. Soon, your eyes start to hurt from all the legal terms and chronologies and titles of imperial edicts. You repeat everything, every single line of it, until your head hurts and your vision begins to blur. When Father walks in, he chuckles in approval. You fall asleep right there amidst the books. The morning comes. You barely have the time to wake up before you're walking to the menacing edifice of the school. Time for law. All the students sit still, glued to their benches in terror. The teacher's voice singles you out. If a commoner insults a nobleman's honor, how ought he be dealt with according to imperial law? Bring the commoner to the prefecture where the judge will sentence him to corporal punishment. And what if a noble takes a commoner's life by negligence or whim? The noble is fined by the provincial authorities. Surprising even yourself, you give the correct answers to these questions, and the many more that follow. The next subject is the history of the blessed Archnean Empire. You masterfully recount the history of every province as they merge from the empire, from Monia to Magra. Then you recite the names of every tempest who has ruled the empire. You conquer every question the teacher asks you without confusing a single date. You get the highest grade in law and history and an average grade in theology. You relay the teacher's praise to Father over dinner. He smiles, pleased with you. Well done, my son. I can see how hard you've been working. Keep at it, and you'll be among the Empire's greatest servants. I'm proud of you. Aww, so good. Have a good relationship with Father. Got some nobility. Good. Your education continues. As you study imperial law, you come to realize that there is certain hierarchy even within the noble estates. It seems your father's status is not quite equal to that of the more eminent human and Archnean gentry. You return home with this new information at your disposal. Father asks about school after dinner, as he always does. And what is the difference between nobles of the mantle and those of the sword, Giggles? You already have an answer ready. The latter status is hereditary, meaning that it is passed down from father to son. After the Archneans, nobles of the sword are the most eminent humans in the empire. They own land and estates. They fill offices of the highest ranks, and the names of their bloodlines are preserved within the Great Blue Book. Nobility of the sword can only be granted only by the overseer of the province or the emperor himself. And how are such eminent people addressed? With the honorific L before their last name, you respond. Sir Augustine Elborn, for example. Father pats you on the shoulder, clearly pleased. And what about the Archneans and their status? What have you learned about them? The Archneans stand above all human gentry. They are born to rule over humans regardless of their titles. No L is required when addressing them. They need no honorifics, for the names of their ancient dynasties are known to all. Father nods somberly. Yes, we can never be their equals. Do whatever an Archnean tells you and never define them. Ever. And what about grandfather and me? Where do we stand as nobles? That is easy. Father and grandfather are nobles of the mantle. This title cannot be inherited, but it can be earned by any commoner as a reward for great service to the empire in the legion or as a civil servant. Father suddenly grows quiet and looks you in the eye intently. Yes, and someday you will earn a noble title too, son, all in due time. All right. Okay, well, I'm gonna close this here. Some stuff happened. At least I didn't die again, so there is that. But we will continue Sir Giggles' story in the next episode. So hope you enjoyed. Bye-bye.